Hey, I'm Matt Fyror. I'm the game director on the Elder Scrolls Online at ZeniMax Online Studios. Well, what makes this game different from other games in the MMO genre is we're the Elder Scrolls. We're the Elder Scrolls MMO. So we bring all of the great things the Elder Scrolls games bring to their single player games. We bring that to an online game. So that's exploration based content, lots of customization options for your character. Any character can use any weapon or armor, lots of freedom and choices, and the great world and lore of 20 years of Elder Scrolls games. So, bringing that to MMOs is like the differentiating factor, because what that means is it brings all of those things with it. Some of the features that we're really excited about in Elder Scrolls Online are things like the PvP system, where hundreds of players can be on screen at any one time. The fact that any character can use any weapon, so you can be a sneaky type guy that heals people, or you can be a mage in cloth armor with a two-handed sword. Lots of freedom. So we're bringing a whole lot of different things into the MMO genre with the game, and it's kind of hard to pick one feature. We're also not going to have shards. We're going to be the first major MMO not to have any shards at all. Everyone's going to play in one game, on one server. You just create a character and log in. Your friends are all right there available to you. You just have one group of friends that you can play with and chat with, no matter where they are. How does Elder Scrolls Online, was it have for the hardcore gamer? Well, to me, hardcore is about a play style, not necessarily features. So those are guys that really get into the game and want to play for hours and hours and hours and game the system and min-max and make their character better than anyone else. And as an RPG, we have all those elements built in. You'll be able to build your character and make it powerful in any way that you want. For the competitive player, we have on one side we have the PvP system, which is huge. It takes place in the province of Cyrodiil, which is where the entire game of Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion took place. Hundreds of players on screen at one time. You get to take over keeps and siege them. You can lead guilds onto the battlefield and pit your guild against a guild in another alliance. It's a very full-featured strategic PvP system, and the guys who really like to go head-to-head with each other will instantly gravitate towards that. And of course, then the leaders of the guilds will then become competitive with the leaders from other guilds. In terms of competitiveness in PvE, that's all about leveling your character, making sure you make the right choices, going into heroic instances, which are really difficult, but you get better loot. So we kind of have systems built around PvE, PvP to support really the hardcore and the competitive guy both. That's how will the game expand after ship, and will there be new content? Is actually a great question, because really MMOs are starting at launch, and we totally that is our total content philosophy, is that the game as it exists at launch is kind of the table on which all of the rest of the game is built, and we plan absolutely on rolling out new content very regularly, hopefully monthly after launch, which fills in kind of the blank spaces in the map. The three alliances as they exist in Tamriel are kind of the civilized areas in our time frame, but there's plenty of wilderness that we can expand into, because the content of Tamriel is very large. And we'll be able to add those in after launch. We'll be able to add new quests in after launch. We'll be able to raise the level cap eventually, but we're very much committed to the game as a service, and part of a service is you have to keep adding new content regularly. So content after 50 is, of course, we have the PvP system, which we've talked about extensively. But also we're going to have dungeons and with heroic layers, so you can go in with your group and you can set what difficulty you want. There's also going to be these what we call adventure zones, which are wilderness areas in Tamriel that you can go explore with your group. There'll be parts of adventure zones which are for larger groups, some for smaller groups, and some even for solo. So we want to make sure even after level 50, there's areas of the world that you want to explore in the same way that you did while you were leveling. And they just get a little tougher, and the challenges are a little more challenging.
What features are you still working on before release?
Well, we work on basically every feature up until release and then after release because MMOs are really a living, breathing entity. You don't develop the game in a vacuum. We have, internal testing right now. We're going to go into beta testing soon, and then when the game goes live, that is all generating feedback that we will continue to kind of tweak systems and make sure that they're good and continually balance. And add new features over time because we really want to make sure that we keep the game fresh and interesting and fair throughout the life throughout its life. And that really started at the beginning of the project, and that'll continue for the life of the game.
Are
Some elements that we haven't picked up from the Elder Scrolls series. Really, there's not a lot because every Elder Scrolls game has, of course, had a slightly different spin on what it is to be an Elder Scrolls game. So, of course, we're not single user, so we don't have that. We're launching on PC and Mac, which is not console. So, but those are basically the very few things. Everything else in there is player choice. It's about having the world to explore. You don't have to explore things in the order the game wants you to. You can just go walk across the world and the game will point things out for you to do. All of that is the hallmark of Elder Scrolls games. Being able to use any class, use any weapon, being able to kind of outfit your character the way you want and play them the way you want and have choices. That is the stuff that we bring to the table with an Elder Scrolls Online. So estimated time to level 50 is something that the players will tell us. We obviously have a metric in our heads that we've designed for, but players are super good at finding lots of new and interesting ways to level much faster than you think they will. So we will absolutely be looking at beta test feedback, at metrics, and making sure that we have a challenging path to level 50, but not one that's so punitive that it feels like a grind, and not one that's so easy that people get there in 2 days. What class and race do you like to play? Well, the concept of class in Elder Scrolls Online is kind of a little cloudy since there's so much customization. But I will say that you will find my character on the PvP battlefield, and then you'll find out.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.